Hello and welcome to the Becker Private Equity and the Becker Business Podcast. My name is Chanel Bunger. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Shannon Smith, the founder of Rush360 and Pilates, and who joins the podcast today to share insights into her background, trends she's keeping an eye on, and a bit more. Shannon, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
Excited to get into things, but before we dive in, can you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Rush360 and Pilates?
Sure. So I spent about 25 years building performance systems for healthcare organizations, first as a financial executive and later through my consulting work, helping healthcare organizations improve operational and financial performance. Over time, I noticed something really interesting. Healthcare organizations were building increasingly sophisticated systems for finance, operations, and technology, but very little attention was paid to the performance systems of the leaders running those organizations. That led me to explore the intersection of organizational performance and human performance through my work with Rush 360's Pilates and the Achievable Plan.
Thank you so much. And now that we have a sense of your background, digging a little bit deeper there, how did you get interested in this area of leadership performance?
So it really started through observation. I noticed that leaders who sustained clarity and execution over long periods had personal systems and rhythms that supported their performance. That realization pushed me to explore the human side of performance more intentionally.
Got it. Got it. That's amazing to hear. And now moving forward, can you tell us about the trends that you're watching, either in leadership or just business overall?
So I can frame this in terms of healthcare, but I think it also applies more broadly. So one pattern I'm hearing from healthcare leaders is that the complexity of the system has accelerated dramatically over the last decade. Leaders are managing financial pressure, workforce challenges, digital transformation, and regulatory complexity all at once. So what's interesting is that organizations have built sophisticated systems for technology and operations, but the human operating systems leaders use to manage that complexity haven't evolved at the same pace.
Got it. I love how you frame that. And can we dig a little bit deeper on why well-being is a strategic advantage?
So well-being, I would frame that as leadership capacity. So leadership capacity really comes down to the ability to sustain clarity, decision quality, and execution in demanding environments. When complexity increases faster than the leader's ability to process it, you start seeing decision paralysis, leadership turnover, and innovation that struggles to scale.
And that makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for giving us more context on that. And now switching gears a bit, in this short conversation, I could tell that you are a very impactful and driven leader. And with that, I'm curious to hear what advice you would give to emerging leaders looking to have that same drive and impact in their careers as you have.
So, one thing I've observed is that high performing leaders develop simple rhythms that help them sustain clarity and execution. In my work, we often describe that rhythm as move, reflect, and plan. Movement supports physical resilience. Reflection helps leaders maintain perspective. And structured planning creates clarity around priorities and execution.
Excellent advice. Well, Shannon, I want to thank you for joining me today and sharing all these important insights. But before I let you go, I'd love to know what's next, and is there anything else listeners should know?
So, one thing I'm thinking a lot about right now is sustainable leadership performance. Healthcare organizations have invested heavily in systems for technology, finance, and operations. The next frontier may be investing just as intentionally in the systems that help leaders sustain clarity, energy, and decision quality in increasingly complex environments. Now, we think about that in terms of healthcare, but I would extrapolate that to any business environment, especially those as complex as healthcare.
Got it. Well, that's a great place to end on. Shannon, I want to thank you once again for your time today and for sharing your insights on the Becker Private Equity and the Becker Business podcast. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.